So we're here, because of tremendous outpouring of demand from parents, students, administrators, and teachers. We were successful in two important priorities, getting the legislature to do two very important things. One was to reprogram the money proposed, the $200 million for competitive grants, and put it back into our schools. The other was to prioritize high-need districts in the distribution through use of both the foundation formula and the gap elimination, adjustment, restoration. So we want to thank the legislature, bipartisan, both houses, for doing that. We also want to be clear that this budget, despite the fact that we have budget increases this year in education, it does not keep up with the problems that have been created by Albany's policies. The combination of 2 years of devastating budget cuts and the new property tax cap is having serious consequences. And this is not, people say, oh, is this all about money? No, it's not all about money. It's about the programs that are actually being lost. I'm holding up a copy of the Utica Observer Dispatch from today. In Utica, they are looking at cutting 217 positions. They are looking at reducing kindergarten from full day to half day. They are looking at eliminating 22 sports teams. They are looking at eliminating their alternative education transition program and cutting contributions to the Young Scholars Program. This is what this is about. The problem is we're moving in the wrong direction educationally in New York State. Our schools, and people know, our schools are getting worse, not better, and it's not for the lack of effort by our superintendents, our school boards, or our teachers. It's certainly not for lack of effort by our students and parents. It's bad policies in Albany. They're moving us in the wrong direction.
One of the biggest problems this state faces, it has a real budget problem, but one of the biggest problems it faces is an inequitable school system. A school system that's giving some kids everything they need to be competitive and what this nation needs for them to be competitive, and it's giving other kids, cuts of 60 and 70 teachers per district. So what sense does this make?
The restorations don't go as deep as we need them to go. For example, even with the restorations, Cohoes City Schools continues to look at upwards of 35 more layoffs this year after 25 last year and 11 the year before that. With 2,000 students and a 60% free and reduced price lunch count, we're getting dangerously close to not being able to provide necessary academic intervention services, as well as at the other end, providing college-bound students with appropriate advanced placement and college and high school opportunities. So we need help.
Albany still faces a deficit caused by unfunded state mandates and a loss of $11 million in state aid compared to just 4 years ago. Despite the increases in the governor's budget, Albany is facing a loss of $1.4 million this year. And we don't have the new numbers from the budget agreement yesterday, but that's where we stand right now. In the last 4 years, we've cut 250 jobs, about half of which were teachers. We've increased class sizes, we've reduced programs, but it has not been enough to close this gap. This year, we're considering eliminating a further 60 jobs, over half of which will be teachers and teacher aides. Security personnel, which will make our children less safe. Music teachers. We're looking at cuts in sports. My son plays baseball at Albany High, but we're going to cut our sports program if we don't find another solution.
I'd like to read from the New York State Constitution, Article 11, Section 1. The legislature shall provide for the maintenance and support of a system of free common schools wherein all the children of the state shall be educated. And I would add, shall be educated in a fair and equitable manner. We need to look at how we fund schools. We need to look at the relationship between property taxes, property values, and quality of education. This is a big job, but I'm asking the state to look at how we fund education and why on earth we equate resources to property values and the role of property taxes. Our property taxpayers cannot take any more increases, and we need to look at how we fund education and how we equitably serve our children. This is not about numbers, this is about children, about services. We need to do better.
Now, I mean, we have a problem because people say, oh, you're getting more money. What are you complaining about? You should be grateful. Yeah, but, you know, last year you took away 8. This year you give me 4. And of course I'm grateful, but in giving me the 4, you say, well, 2 of that is taken away because we have this thing called a spending.
I do want to thank the governor and the legislature for changing some of the pre-K language that eliminates some backdoor cuts and will allow for some more kids to have pre-K services, and also for adding $95 million to child care subsidies to allow low-income working parents to go to work. This will increase access, and we are extremely grateful for this. I would like to stress, though, that this isn't about simply access to education and care. It's about access to quality education and care.
How do we know that next year or the following year, Albany school districts won't be talking about cutting pre-K and cutting kindergarten to half-day? It's not fair. It's not just. I'm angry at the governor for not taking education seriously. I'm feeling very, very frustrated that we had 6,000 letters and thousands of people came here from January until just last week to plead with the legislature to make some changes in the way we're funding education. And so I am saying, just like my 2-year-old granddaughter does, it's not fair, and we need to do it differently.
So again, we are thankful that we had some important successes in this budget, but we are calling on both houses of the legislature and the governor to pay a close attention to what actually happens in our school budgets in the next 2 months, and to see that we have a problem that's getting worse and it needs to be addressed.